Hey guys, what is up? This is Chris and Matt back with another episode of the Smart Flip Podcast, the largest phone flipping podcast in the world. I want to give a shout out to everybody listening in right now. I really appreciate you guys. I know you guys are listening to this podcast while you're out picking up deals, slinging phones and making money. So we really appreciate you guys listening to this podcast. We got hundreds of loyal listeners now. Appreciate you guys so much for that. Um, and for those of you that are just tuning in, this is the Smart Flip. This is where we talk about flipping electronics, flipping, and we've had quite a few different guests on that flip different things like sports cards and other stuff like that. And we named it the Smart Flip for a reason, um, so that we could interview people that flip certain things. Now, if this is your first time listening to the show, make sure to check out the Tech Flips to Profit ebook. You can get it for free on episode 11 of the podcast. It's a good little 2 hour listening experience. I think you guys will like it. It is free on the audio version. If you want the ebook, you can download it for $4.95. Check the links and stuff in the bio. And with that being said, my friends, we're gonna jump right into the episode today, guys. We have Eric on with us, and Eric flips diabetic test strips. And I
Hey,
know that's been a pretty hot topic lately. My students have been literally driving me insane about teaching it, and I want to be known for one thing. I want to make that very clear as well. I'm not going to teach you test strips. All right, like that's not my thing. It's not my wheelhouse. I'm very good at electronics, very good with phones, and I'm going to stay there. Um, I think it's important to be known for one thing and be exceptional at that one thing, and that's what me and Matt are doing. So, I brought in Eric a few weeks ago to teach my students how to flip test strips, and they've gone on to make literally thousands of dollars. Um, we
yeah,
brought him in. He
yeah.
taught them how to flip the test strips, and then I told my guys, I was like, "Hey, you guys already have resale deck. You have all that your customers built up. Just send out a message." And
Mhm.
they literally just started making money, printing it basically after that because they already had the systems and processes set up. So without further ado, I want to introduce Eric. He's a great guy. He's got a great YouTube channel. It's called the Easy Entrepreneur, right, Eric?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So check him out
Nice,
on YouTube, guys. It's called Easy Entrepreneur.
nice.
And I've already checked out his YouTube. Dude doesn't really gatekeep much, very much like my channel, and that's why I liked it so much. So Eric, if you would introduce yourself, man.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Matt, for having me on, guys. Um,
Absolutely.
like you said, my name's Eric. I'm a full-time diabetic test strip flipper. I started in 2020 during the height of the pandemic. Before that, I was a group home director for adults with mental disabilities.
Mm.
But leading up to that, you know what I mean? I played ball in college, played some semi-pro basketball. After that, just kind of got into, the 9 to 5 grind, right? I've done work 3, 4 jobs at a time, same time trying to become an entrepreneur, right? So fast forward, leading up to once I found my kind of career job, which was working with mental adults with mental disabilities, I ran into the test strip business,
Mm.
right? Jumped in on it over the weekend, paid like $2,000 for a course, right? Jumped in it on over the weekend, and then literally Monday got calls, right? And I was just like kind of blown away about it because I've tried so many different businesses and I didn't make money as fast, right? So I seen how fast I could make money and how simple it was. And literally that month, I left my jobs and I just
Wow,
went full time right off the bat, right?
wow,
So a month after in that business, that first month, I did about $2,000, $3,000 profit. I don't think it's enough to leave your full time job, but I kind of was like, okay, if I could just continue doing what I'm doing, just at
Mhm.
another level, I mean, I should be able to double this, right? And make it sustainable. And I did that and I just never looked back. It never failed me, right? Fast forward now, we're 5 years later. This past 2024, we generated about 400,000 in revenue. Uh,
Wow.
and my business is fully automated, right? So I'm just running this thing from my cell phone pretty much. We have drivers who meet with our customers to pick up the supplies. We have assistants that take the phone calls 9 to 5, that make the offers to our customers. We have somebody on the ground doing marketing, right? We have someone online doing our online marketing. So we have someone doing outbound marketing, and we have someone doing online marketing as well. And I'm just answering questions through the day. You know what I mean? What me and my assistant, my driver, we're all in a little group, and we're just tackling appointments every day. You know what I mean? And that's
Mm.
pretty much all I do now. Um,
Hmm.
Obviously, I have a course where I teach students how to do this business. I started teaching about 2 years ago or so, 2 or 3 years ago. We have about 500 students now, and I'm pretty hands-on with my teaching. I have a course that I give them access to online, and I also give them my personal phone number. So I
Wow.
pretty much hold them by the hand as we're doing this business. And it works too, because it sounds like there's a lot. Like, okay, you have 500 students. Where do you find the time? Well, the business is so simple. After a while, dealing with someone a week or 2 weeks into starting, then it's pretty
Yeah.
Yep.
redundant, and then communication kind of dwindles. You know what I mean? But I'm there for them if they ever need me, throughout the duration of them doing the business. Which you don't
Mm.
really, there's really not many much questions after that. It might be like something like, hey, I'm going to try out this new marketing tactic. What should I do? Or something like that. But
Mm.
as far as like my journey, that's my journey. Um, I guess, Chris, if you want me to go a little bit more in depth on like how the business works, um, that's
Well, I
pretty much
think
it for me, as far as for me.
yeah. So you said 400,000 in revenue a year. What does that look like in profit wise?
Probably profit, we're looking probably about 40%, 50%.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
that's
sometimes
pretty good,
sometimes
dude.
upward of 60%.
Six
So,
figures.
um, so the amount of profit we make on each supply can vary, right? Sometimes it can go up to 200% on each supply, because the customers are getting all types of different diabetic supplies, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Um, so some are, really valuable to the market, and some are less valuable. So obviously, we're making our offer you know, based on making it make sense for the customer, right? So if it's something that's very valuable, obviously we're going to come up a little higher to make it make sense. But if it's something like, 20, 30, 40, $50, you know what I mean? We're going to try to at least do half, or maybe do 30% on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just want to make the customer happy, because the customers in this business are repeat customers,
Yeah.
right? So they're going to be coming back to you every month. So, our goal is just to kind of bring in as many customers as possible through the duration of us doing this business. So now we just have a ton of repeat customers, and we're doing 5 to 10 pickups a day,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Obviously, there's a different amount of profit we're making off of each customer, obviously. So that stuff can really add up at the end of the day,
Yeah.
after 5 or 10 after 5 or 10 appointments.
I think that's
Nice.
the most um I think that's the coolest thing about that industry is the fact that they all turn into repeat customers, right?
Mhm,
Um, that that just makes it easier, right? Like
mhm,
we're always talking about in the phone flipping space and flipping consoles and everything. One thing I love about the just the electronic space, the breadth of things you can
mhm.
buy, right?
Right.
Like the fact that if you pull up your Wi-Fi app on your phone, there's usually 10 devices connected to it. Like
Mhm.
I like
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Which
Also,
which
just that
ultimately turns someone into a repeat customer,
yeah,
right?
dude. Like once they know you buy more than just an iPhone,
Right.
dude, it changes the game. You know,
Hmm.
like I
Right.
mean, Matt, he's our game console coach in our program, and like I mean, he's the console king himself. Um, I mean, Matt, it was you had last year was 72% ROI on for the year on
Hmm.
yeah profit wise. That's some
Yeah.
solid stuff. Um, but I like the test strip industry. I don't want to teach it, but like I like it as like an additional add-on, and I see people flip-flop between both of them actually a lot. Um,
Yeah.
and I think I don't really understand why people don't like combine it as much. They don't think about that, right? Like
Mhm.
there's a lot of diabetics, but there's also as with the electronics thing, literally everybody's a customer. Like I was actually closing this deal yesterday on this phone, and I asked him, I was like, do you have any other electronics you might be looking to sell? And he was like, yeah, maybe later. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, hey, this may sound a little weird, but like, do you have any diabetic test strips? We started buying those recently. And he's like, actually, my mom has a shitload of those. And
Yeah.
so like it's that easy,
Yeah.
like um but yeah, I mean, as far as like scaling this business, so it sounds like you have a whole team that kind of handles everything at this point. And I think you also buy from your students. Is that correct?
Right. Yep. So we buy some supplies from the students, but we make sure that the students get the buyers that, can pay the most, you know what I mean, at the same
Yeah.
time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
We have some contacts on our end that they just don't want to deal with just anybody. So we're not kind of able to give that contact to the students. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
For the most part, the people who are buying the bulk of this stuff, we give that to the students. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as far as you saying how people don't combine it, what I've seen is usually people are getting in this industry coming from the phone flipping industry, right?
Hmm.
I don't see too many people coming from test strips into the cell phone industry.
Yeah.
It's usually the other way around. So I don't know why when people do get into this industry, why they don't continue to keep running the cell phone business. I don't know, but yeah, it would make sense, right? Because
Yeah.
then at the
Well,
same time, you could be like, hey, do you have any cell phone stuff going on? You know what I mean? You want to sell any phones or any consoles? But
Yeah.
but then probably because they get a little people get really content in this industry because they have the
Yeah.
repeats. So they'll have the repeats, and now you're
yeah.
just sitting around, you're getting phone calls like, hey, I got my supplies, when can you come?
Yeah.
You know
Wow.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
they get content. And that's why I could say like 70-80% of people in the industry are part-time because you get really content on, that little bit of money coming in every month, right?
Right.
That
Yeah.
and you really didn't do anything, right? You probably did a little bit of marketing and you accumulated 15 customers and like that can kind of go a long way, right? Extra
Yeah.
For
thousand,
sure. For
$2,000,
sure.
especially for people who've never been in business before either. So a lot of people that get in this industry, they haven't been in business before. So
Hmm.
this will be their first go around in business, and you're making a little bit of extra money. That's the first time ever you're making just extra money outside of a 9 to 5. You get
Mhm.
so like with my students, I try to help them, break past that if that's where they're going with
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
'Cause there's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with making extra $2,000 a month and you're good, right? But
Right.
you get I like so with my course, obviously I don't have a link where people just go and pay. Like I have them book a call with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically
Nice.
you're on the phone and you get to hear everyone's,
Yeah.
goal. What how
Yeah.
so how fast can I make 6 figures? Because I'm looking to do it in like 5 months. I'm like, all right,
You better
It's
hustle.
right,
it's
right,
such a new question for everybody. That's so
right.
fun.
Everyone's trying to make 10,000 next week, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I like to make it realistic for them and like let them know like this is where we're going with it if you're really trying to get to that point. But then you double back 2 months later, 3 months later, and guys are like, they're taking it easy. They haven't marketed in the last 2 months, and you know what I mean. And it is pretty much good with what they're making. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
So I think we have that too. It's like, how fast can I hit six figures? Right. It's like, I always push it back to one of our students. And I like to use him as an example a lot of how quickly you can get to six figures. His name is Navon, and I always like to shout him out because how fast you get to six figures in any industry, especially like these industries, the flipping industries, is like it's a direct volume correlation, right?
Mhm.
Like how many offers you make is it totally shows like what you're gonna make, right?
Mhm.
So like when he came in, he did 3,600 marketplace reach outs his very first month in the business. Very
Mhm.
first month, right? Like that's that's a lot.
Yeah.
Um, That's, over 100, that's 120 a day.
Right.
That's crazy. But
Hmm.
what it did is it set him up. He found buyers, he found other resellers, he found, people, and he did $43,000 in profit in 90 days. Like that's a lot, but he definitely put in the work for it. And now he runs a six-figure a month business,
Mhm.
So I always push it back to like it's all volume in the
Right.
flipping game. Is like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you were to start over in the test strip industry, Eric, what would you do differently, man? Like,
Um, well, the thing is, from the beginning, I've kind of honed in on like what I thought was working, and it was pretty much just how much marketing I needed to put out, right? So from the beginning, I kind of like did a ton of marketing.
Hmm.
So with the test strip stuff, you're not really gonna just blow it out the water the first month or two
Hmm.
because we're making our money off of repeat customers.
Yeah.
So everything's building up over time.
Yeah.
I mean, so I kind of had my foot on the pedal since day one.
yeah,
Once I saw exactly, okay, I did this amount of marketing. If I
Hmm.
just double or triple it, then things will just take off. And that's what I did, and it just took off. And at that point, it was just a matter of just continuing, just to be um continuing to keep doing that every month.
Yeah.
Um, now, I mean, what would I do if now that I know what I know, would I throw freaking everything at it? Yeah. And so like if I'm doing $1,000 in marketing, knowing what
Yeah.
I know, I would do 2,000, 3,000, whatever pretty much I had, because I
Wow.
know exactly that it's pretty much a numbers game,
yep,
Yeah.
and demand is there, right? No matter what city you're in, demand is there. So it's just like, yeah, I'm throwing everything at it, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
love it. Yeah. So
Nice.
you throw everything at it now, huh? Yeah, all the marketing,
Right. Right.
all the bandit signs, right? So,
Do you do bandit signs, Eric? Is that a thing for you?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
I think
okay.
that's his outside marketing person. Is that right?
yeah.
Yeah. So, how many bandit signs do you put up a day?
Um, we're probably doing like 500 to
Oh,
1,000 a month. You know what I
wow.
mean? Just a mixture of things like stickers, signs, you know what I mean? Stuff
Hmm.
like that.
Cool.
Would you say that's your best marketing channel right now?
Yeah, it's one of them. Yeah, I
Yeah,
would say.
gotcha.
That's cool.
That's cool, dude. That's awesome.
That's how pretty much this industry works. You know what I
Yeah, I've
mean?
noticed that. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
Paid, paid ads, Facebook stuff. So you got to kind of hone in with that, and you got a lot
Mhm.
of competition, and
yeah,
so it depends. You know what I'm saying? It
yeah.
depends.
Yeah, we had one
Hmm.
guy in my program he's doing 10,000 a month profit just off of the Facebook ads he started with a little bit of guidance that I gave him just because he joined Recelerator and he was like, "Hey, can you help me with test strips too?" I'm like, "I don't know, maybe."
He's doing
Um,
all right.
I
He's
guess
doing all
he's doing
right.
all right, but
Yeah.
he does a mix now. He does most of his marketing is now test strips. Um,
Mhm.
but like he also buys phones, like because he goes to people's houses and stuff to buy the test strips and stuff.
Yeah.
And what's
Right.
cool about that is like you can ask while you're there. You can be like,
Mhm.
"Hey, I also buy this, this, and that." You know,
Mhm.
like boom, upsell, immediate, right? It's funny because I told there's a couch flipper now. Like I've been on a couch flipping podcast at this point to help them with marketing, which is very weird. But um,
I
they're
looked
making
into
some good
that
money
before.
too.
They are. Yeah.
But I became friends with one of them, and he's like, "Dude, how can I add the phones thing into what I'm doing? Phones are a lot easier to move than a couch." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, it is. Like, you can ship it." And I was like, "Well, you go to people's houses to buy and deliver couches, right?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Cool, dude. You can just double dip with each couch. Like, you go to the person's house, pick up the couch, and be like, 'Hey, we buy phones and electronics too. You got anything you want to
Yeah.
sell? Get some of your money." And then when you bring the couch to somebody's house, hey, you want to get some of your money back? Like, I'll buy
Nice.
your phones at like, and he started doing that and just immediate, dude, started making money. And I'm just like, this industry doesn't change, just the type of items changes, you know?
Right,
Like
right.
you can upsell anything. And it, I call the reselling game like the greatest offer in the world because I mean, what better offer is there than can I give you cash? You know,
Mhm.
like can I
Mhm.
give you money, please? You know? And I mean, especially with the test strip thing, like they're getting those things for free. So
Yeah,
so
pretty
what's
much.
really funny is my wife got diagnosed with gestational diabetes.
Mhm.
So she had to get on test strips.
Oh man.
And
You're like,
I'm sitting here and I'm just like I didn't really want to get into this industry at all. Like and now here I am like buying like getting these things for free. So I'm actually seeing it, you know, and
yeah.
Right.
like what the heck, dude? But
What is she getting? Freestyle lights, one touch
yeah,
ultra.
something like that. Yeah. She has to prick her finger. She hates
Oh,
it.
she has a prick up. Yeah, yeah. Everyone does.
Yeah.
I used when I was working with adults with disabilities, I used to have to take people's blood sugar,
Mm.
right? So
Wow.
they hate it. I've once took one for 2 weeks. I had to take care of a guy who was like super duper millionaire dude, like descendant of like Thomas Jefferson or something
Oh my
crazy out here
gosh.
where I'm at, right? He had lost
Okay.
his leg. He had lost his leg. And I was there to take care of him for 2 weeks. And I used to have to take his blood sugar. And there was times he said no, nope.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even a problem. It wasn't even a thing with just people who don't have money that are poor, right? That are not taking care of themselves. There's people who are super
Yeah.
rich. They all had the same problem. They didn't like prickiness,
Right.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Um, which is crazy.
I mean, I see why people sell them. They probably hate them, you know?
Yeah, yeah. You'll have some situations where people will get prescribed 4 boxes of five and they'll sell like two, three of them because they only need like one or two, because they're gonna check their blood sugar maybe every 2 days or 3 days, as opposed to checking it twice a day.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And sometimes, and I guess the healthcare system, they just want to keep prescribing these people this stuff because obviously there's money to be made on the back end for them,
Yep.
obviously.
Yeah.
So
Matt, do you have any questions or any?
I'm curious, Eric, at what point did you determine, hey, you know what? I think it's time to start onboarding extra help. And what did that process look like? Could you walk us through where you were, maybe some of the um, spaces you reached within the finance of your business, and then also like the mental bandwidth that you had to absorb all of the kind of the construct of your business, and what were some of the processes you were working through, both mentally and literally, to say, you know what, I think it's officially time for me to employ some other people and expand. Could you talk a little bit about that?
yeah, sure. So kind of going into the business, I've already had a savings.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
so we have three parts of the business where you have the customer calling, which you need someone to answer the calls. You need to do the marketing
Hmm.
and you need to go pick up the supply. So
Hmm.
um the marketing part, instantly when I jumped in, I started hiring people to help me, right? It was just per gig. You know what I mean?
Cool.
So
Okay. Yeah.
they have a certain amount of marketing pieces that I want to go out. I'm gonna pay per sign or whatever the case is, right?
Yeah.
If online stuff, I need some online help. I'll pay probably $40 a week, $30 a week, depending on the virtual assistant and what needs to be done. So
Okay.
I already was paying for that stuff to go and play. Now the next thing, which was going to be the most difficult, was finding a virtual assistant to take on the calls
Yeah.
and finding someone to pick up the supplies.
Okay.
So I brought the virtual assistant in maybe a year later
Hmm.
and had them answer the phones 9 to 5, and make the offers.
Hmm.
Obviously, I had to create some tutorials, video tutorials, and all of that stuff, which I've had all of those skills already because I done spent $30,000 in courses over the previous 10 years going into it on just different business models, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had all these different skills. So I pretty much knew how to um, train a virtual assistant and hire and stuff like that, go to Upwork and Fiverr
Yeah.
and all this, right? So that person worked with me for a year, and then the last position was for me to find someone to pick up the supplies because that's what I was doing majority. That's what I was doing this whole time for the first 2 years, right? I had to pick up the supplies. So say I want to go out of town. I go out of
Hmm.
town, it's still blowing me up. Hey,
Hmm.
Eric, can you come? I'm like, I won't be back till Monday. And then
Hmm.
I get back home Monday, I'm on the road all day picking up supplies. I would say within 2 years of doing that, that's when it starts to feel like a job. You're
Yeah.
like, "All right, I'm blessed. You know what I mean? I have my own business finally. I'm making good money, but it's turning into a job now.
Hmm.
Because if I don't go pick up these supplies, then I'm not gonna be able to, right, make any money. I won't be able to pay my bills. So now you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're running it like a freaking job. Like I'm getting up and gotta be on the road by 10, and I'm flying all around the city, and then
Yeah.
I'm pretty much done by 2, 3 o'clock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make really good money, but if I don't go, then things are not gonna get done.
Yeah.
Uh, so then, 2 years into it, after that, I brought a driver in.
Cool.
And that was the hardest part
Yeah.
because now he has to fill in for you. The drivers in this business, in this industry, doesn't just go and pick up the supplies. They have to vet them. Just because a customer said everything um,
Right.
meets the buying criteria,
Yeah.
they lie sometimes, right? So you
Yeah.
get there, they say there's no rips, there's no dings, there's no dents, and you can get that stuff from them and say, "Hey, thank you." You get home, you check it, and everything's wrong with it, right?
Right.
So we do meet a customer. We still do need to, take a quick look at each supply, make sure it meets our buying criteria. So
Yeah.
now getting someone to have that attention to detail, just like you do, it's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah.
So kind of going through that and figuring out what's the best way to but not be so anal with your driver because I mean, you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
have that same exact attention to detail that I do, it's kind of impossible.
For
So
sure.
like yeah, so it's kind of like, we're gonna learn as we go, right? So I'm pretty much it's not when I have these systems, I'm on
Hmm.
deck the whole time. And so many people ask me that, like when they get employees in, are they gonna just be chilling? I'm
No.
like, no, you're not because this is your money. This is
Right.
your money that's being spent. So I tell my virtual assistant, I tell my driver and them, I said, there's nothing you need to think about. If you think about anything, you just call me.
Hmm.
If there's any decision you think you have to make, just call me.
Hmm.
Just because I know how difficult things can be as far as our criteria. So
Right.
I really want them to make that decision. And
Right.
one day they've done this for so long, there is questions that just like I don't even have to ask. I know that we can't take that, right?
Yeah.
So that means that I'm by the phone. Hey, if you have to FaceTime me, FaceTime me. If you have to call me, whatever. There's never too many questions.
Hmm.
And so that's how we're rocking now. And my first driver. So what actually when I brought my first driver in 2 years later, he did a whole year for me, right?
Hmm.
Bought a car. I bought a car from him, right? Little car off the auction,
All
Wow.
right?
right. All
He
right.
spent $3,500, gave him a car. You know what I mean? You use this to do the business. And at the same time, it was no point in him bringing it back to me. So I said, hey, you just hold on to it, right? And you do your pickup stuff. I'm going to pay you a certain percentage. I'm going to pay
Yeah.
you a certain amount every week, no matter how many pickups we have or not. I'm still going to pay you this amount because, right, I gave you a car. So if it was a lot of pickups,
Hmm.
and he's getting underpaid and he still has a car.
Hmm.
So we made it through the whole year, and this is where I learned like I had to kind of keep my foot on the pedal just because even though I have employees because
Yeah.
um we was things were slipping through the cracks, right?
Okay.
Appointments weren't getting done, stuff
Hmm.
like that. And then I
Hmm.
had to let him go. But I think that he might have thought it wasn't um maybe I was going another direction
Yeah.
and there's some animosity there. And it didn't really end too well. Then
Hmm.
I finally tried to take one of my customers.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was crazy. One of my customers called me, say, "Hey, Eric, is everything good?" I'm like, "Yeah, everything's good." He's like, "What's going on with oh boy?" I'm like, "Well, he's not working with us no more." He's like, "Yeah, man, he tried to buy from me." I'm like, "Come on, dude." I helped this guy
Right.
so much, man. It was so crazy. But
Yeah.
then I had to jump back in. And this was September too. So I jumped back in. I got it back to where it needed to be.
This was September of 2024.
Nope, 2023.
Okay. Okay.
23. So I jumped back in, got it back to where it needed to be as far as getting on the road. And that took like 4 months. And then I brought my guy in that I got now. Um, and now everything's run smooth, you
Yeah.
know. So it was a
Good
journey.
insight, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think hiring people to do pickups and negotiate and things like that. Like you hire thinking that they're going to do as good of a job as you, when reality is they'll probably do maybe about 30% as well as you, right?
Right.
Like if you can get somebody to like 70% as good as you, that's probably the best you're actually going to get.
Right.
Like it won't go because they don't own the business. Like they don't have it, it's like you going to work your job, right? Like you see people, just kind of chilling and just running the clock and shit
Yeah.
and like all that. Like everybody
True.
watching this probably does it, don't lie, you know?
Hmm.
Like but
Right.
the business owner, the person that actually owns the business,
Yep.
they have much more attention to detail. And so when the boss comes by and he tells you to like do the right thing, like that's
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
he's doing that. It's because he owns
Hey.
that thing. You know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's a real like and you don't realize that until you actually move to like CEO position. Like
Mhm.
and that attention to detail matters. Like
Yeah. That's fair.
especially when you start this thing in the beginning and it's a one man show. Like even with the
Mhm.
phone flipping stuff, like for me, like I mean, the way that I do things is pretty simple at this point. It's 12 and 5. Like that's it. I got two meetups today. I'm gonna make like $250 in profit. Like at 5 o'clock.
Mhm.
Like that's just how I run
Yep.
my business at this point. I have the money, come get it. And
Yeah.
that's a whole mindset shift in and of itself too.
Yep.
I don't drive to anybody unless, well, I mean, unless I'm making like $1,000. But and Matt knows.
I do. Yep.
That last Valve Index I bought made a quick grand off of that. So,
Hmm.
but
And what I learned from it all was like I couldn't be too anal.
yeah,
I had to leave some room for error and
Hmm.
yeah,
just fix it and just kind of go with it because you're not gonna find the perfect employee.
It's
nope,
And
true.
I speak to people now where friends are in the industry that's doing well and they're still doing the pickups. They're still wearing all the hats. And I'm like, dude, you gotta bring some people in.
yeah,
And
Word. Yeah.
they're so worried about this crazy attention to detail about things. And I'm just like, listen, it's never gonna be perfect once you bring someone in.
yeah,
Mhm.
true.
You know what I mean? So if that's what you're thinking you're gonna get, it's not gonna happen,
Well, I
so
think a lot of people think that when you hire, it's gonna save you a lot of time. In the beginning, it will not. It will
mm,
actually increase the time you put in because number one, you're training, and then you're still managing customers on top of that. You will actually
Mhm.
get busier in the beginning. Until you start creating things like system and operating procedures and things like that, like
Yeah.
to help navigate that stuff. A
right.
lot of people do not realize like you will get busier as soon as you hire because you have to
Mhm.
train and they will get things wrong and you will lose money. Like
Right.
Hmm.
it's a real thing. Because we
Hmm.
got people in our space that I tell them not to hire until they're doing 10,000 in profit a month. There's a
Mhm.
reason for that because I know they need like a cushion because they're going to go down in revenue and profit for like the first 2 months while they're hiring. They don't realize that, but I know that. And I'm like, you need to like if you try and hire at 5 grand a month in profit, like you don't realize that your expenses for the employee and just the time invested in training is going to
Mhm.
Yeah.
cost you money. Like
Yep.
it will. So
Mhm.
it's a real thing. Every time you hire somebody, it's time and money. Both of them get sucked away. And in this business, time is money. Like
Hmm.
you could be closing more deals or this, that, and everything else, right? Like,
Yep.
um, so, I mean, when you said like that, the first guy, you had to like take back over. It took you 4 months to get everything back to being right.
Right.
You know,
Right.
up to your
Yeah.
standard, basically, because your employees will never be at your standard ever. Like
No.
that's just not how it is. Now, I mean, there are kind of ways around that. You can pay based on performance, and you can get them close. Like
Mhm.
Aaron, my team, everybody's paid based on performance. You
Mhm.
the better
We deliver.
yeah, the better we deliver, the more money they make. Like that's just how
Mhm.
it works. And
Yeah.
it's kind of the only way I hire at this point.
Mhm.
Is performance based. The better we do,
Right, and
the more
it
money
probably
they
took
make.
time. Right, and it probably took time for you to learn that. Okay, that's the way you need to do it.
Yeah. That took
So if you don't,
mentorship, bro.
right, so if you don't start and make those mistakes, and you know what I mean, you'll never know that this is where you're gonna get to, where you figured it out. Like, oh, okay, we
Yeah.
need to do
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
right.
I think there's a lot to be said here about people's expectations because the thing I perceive about anybody that's running their own business, and this could be in any industry, is like first of all, you're working with the stuff as you build your business from its base, but then you're working mostly with your people who work with the stuff. And so the thing is like people don't realize the type of person you have to become. Like you can't treat people the same way you just treat stuff. Like people are delicate. You have to be emotionally present. You have to be like kind. No one wants to work for an a-hole, right? Like all these things that are just like I think the lost art of communication is so important, like how you say things, not just the fact that you text people, but like what's the conjecture behind that text? Did they misread it? You know what I'm saying? Like all those different things about the business of people is like so much more is a dynamic that I think a lot of people aren't aware of. When they become boss or however
Mhm.
you want to frame that. Like, and also like Chris, I don't know, like how like it sounds, Eric, like you have some really dope people that work with you or for you because you would not have this system in place if you didn't have some solid kind of like ride or die employees where it's like, oh, that's my dog, that's my guy, like he gets it done. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it makes me think of the context, be like, Chris and I have a really great dynamic. I would say like we beyond just like business associates, we're probably friends. Probably next to his wife, he might talk to me like the most. I don't know.
Oh
Like
yeah, probably.
we,
I bounce
we
ideas
talk
off of Matt all the time.
we talk a lot though is what I'm saying, and it's like I think people also don't realize like it's rare to actually find like people where it's like, yo, this is a quality human who like does things, they're honest. Like it's just that's a rare space in and of itself. And I'm not trying to create a whole like piece of conversation about that, but like I'm trying to create a realistic picture and saying this that like for people that are listening to this and hearing Eric's story and the conversation between us three today is like it might be a while before you actually like find your person who's like, oh, that's my person. Like that's the person that's going to help me build this
Yeah.
to you know, the next level of figures we want to go to, whether it's 100K, whether it's 200K or whatever. But like you might be working for a year before you find that individual who's like, primed to come alongside and help you like knock this thing out. And so I don't know like what you might could also say about that, Eric, but I'd be interested in what that dynamic has looked like for you as far as the relationship with your business, but then there's also a relationship with the people who are in your business. And so I don't know. Could you say something about that
Oh,
maybe?
yeah, definitely. That's the biggest piece because like when people ask me about hiring and stuff like that, and some of the things that they'll be anal about, I wouldn't. And it's because there's so many reasons why, right?
Uh-huh.
It's being able to build that relationship with someone to where they do feel comfortable because
Hmm.
nobody wants you coming down their throat for
Yeah.
every little thing. And you know what I mean?
Right.
There's certain
Yeah.
ways to say things to people, there's certain
Hmm.
ways to go about it. There's
Hmm.
certain things that you need to have some slack on just
Hmm.
because you know that you've been down this road and you're not going to find no one perfect. So now that kind of changes the way you approach your employees and stuff like that. So for example, like my driver guy just pulled up before I got on here to make a
Uh-huh.
drive to me. And I'm always just thanking him. I'm always thanking him, just being very compassionate. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? We're not from the same community, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
He's a white guy, I'm a black guy. He's an
Hmm.
older white guy, I'm a younger black guy.
Yeah.
Me trying my best to make him feel comfortable. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Those little cues all mean a lot. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Keeps people around. You know what I mean? I'll throw him a bonus here and there just to, keep him, motivated and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But just I kind of work more so off compassion. I let people make mistakes,
Yeah.
and I won't. I'm firm. I'm forgiving, right?
Yeah.
Um, but and I was a director. I was once a director for a company, right? So I remember being a staff and being like, I wouldn't be like my boss. When I become a director, I'm not gonna be like my boss. And then once I became a director, I actually was a really good director.
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid to get in there and get in the trenches as well. So I
Yeah.
also show people that, hey, I'm willing to jump in there and do what I have to do too, which shows people that, hey, he's building a good example that, not only is he just not there just telling everyone what to do. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
He's able to jump in there and get work done too. So that builds that trust from your employees and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I'm very good at picking up on character. So that's one skill that I tell people who was hiring. They ask me like, man, so how do you trust someone with the money? I'm like, sometimes there's just something there that,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like there's just something there with people that you could just pick up on. You know what
Hmm.
I mean?
Hmm.
Uh, so I mean, after a while dealing with people, you'll figure it out, who not
Yeah.
to mess with, who to mess with. And I wouldn't say don't get started because you're afraid that someone might steal money from you or steal the business from you. But you'll go through that and then you'll do better next time. So for example, we have a certain age that we hire in this
Okay.
industry. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't mess with none of the younger guys, none of these real none of these guys trying to, they got the entrepreneur spirit because they get in this and they're like, oh, let me go to YouTube, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
then saying before you know it, they're out there doing the same thing. So we have a certain age, but I had to learn that from the beginning, from bringing on just anybody. And then the first little problem we have now, it's like I'm gonna do my own thing. You know,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff, dude. That's awesome. That's very insightful too.
I
Yeah,
really like that. Yeah, that's really
hiring is
healthy
definitely
perspective.
it's definitely a different animal, right? Um,
It
but
is.
when you get good at it, you know, I mean, it saves you a ton of time. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, so um, dude, what are the goals from here moving forward? Like, what you just gonna keep doing the same thing, keep growing, keep scaling stuff?
Yeah. So I want to bring a full-time guy on as far as marketing,
Hmm.
right? That's the main goal right now. So I mean, we're doing it now. I'm just giving someone right now the opportunity. They
Hmm.
don't have a car though, but they're like, hey, I can still get around. So I'm like, all right, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm
Prove
gonna give
yourself.
him a chance. So we'll see how he does over the next month or so. But that's the goal, getting a full-time marketing guy
Awesome.
and getting this. And then after that, just jumping into other cities,
Uh-huh.
kind of with the outbound marketing strategy,
Yeah,
right? Because
Uh-huh.
I could do this nationwide, running
That's cool.
ads, running ads. Obviously, we already do that, but
Yeah.
kind of taking the outbound approach and jumping into other markets. You know
Do
what I mean?
you so like mail-ins? Like, is that what you mean? Like getting mail-ins and stuff?
Well, mail-ins would be with the Facebook ads.
yeah,
Okay.
Outbound is like signs and stuff, guerrilla marketing stuff, but doing
Right. Yeah.
cities and then setting up a driver there, and then they'll do pickups as if we're located there, but
Yeah.
that driver would probably just ship it to us. You know what I mean?
Cool. I like that very like macroscopic perspective. It's like, once you kind of dominate your city, you sort of figure out your region, then you figure out like larger spaces and you learn that you can grow, your business can grow only as you can grow. What would you say to people that are considering this market or this specific industry, but feel like maybe they're not in the most metropolitan area? I'm sure at this point with 500 students, you've had students that both succeeded in bigger and larger spaces. Could you maybe say something about that and maybe some of the limiting beliefs people might have? It's like, well, I live in a little town, I don't know if I can do this. Kind of doubts. Could you talk to that for a second?
You got some good questions, Matt. Yeah,
why do you think he's the co-host, bro? He's really
you
good.
got some good questions. Yeah, I tell people to get in those larger markets,
Hmm.
dependent. So say you're in a smaller city.
Yeah.
Um, Now, if you're in a smaller city and the biggest in the larger city,
Hmm.
20 minutes out, 30 minutes out. Yeah, you
Hmm.
want to get stuff done out that way too. Say if it's like an hour out, well, all right, we're not down there, but we're gonna mess around with not only our market, our little small market, but we're gonna hit the other markets around us, the other little small markets too.
Okay.
Thing that's 20 minutes, 30 minutes surrounded, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So you just kind of gotta be flexible and sort of expand the space that you're willing to try to cover in that network.
Right, right. I wouldn't go no further. I wouldn't go no further than 40 minutes out, 35 minutes out. Because remember,
Yeah.
you're starting to do stuff out that way. You're gonna have to go drive to them.
Word.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're
So
going,
for your specific business model, would you say you cover roughly like a 40-minute driving radius? Is that sort of like where your drivers and you are?
yep, and where I'm at, how our stuff is all made up is like, dude, like there's like 30 different towns surrounding us.
Okay.
You know what I'm
Are you
saying?
in a dense metropolitan area? Like what region of the US are you located in, if you don't mind sharing?
East. Yeah.
Northeast?
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Up north. So,
Yeah.
New York, Maryland, all of that stuff. So
Gotcha.
like, yeah, you know, 10 minutes down the road is a whole nother town. 10 minutes
Yeah.
opposite, another town.
Could be
You
a
know,
whole nother state.
so we have tons of different little small towns all around us where
Uh-huh.
most people would probably just stick in their one town. We're
Yeah.
gonna, you know what I mean?
Are there any like weird like laws that sort of like govern how this changes from state to state? There's nothing like that, is there, within like diabetic test strips? Because I know medical commodities can be a little more different.
No, there isn't. There isn't.
Okay,
As long as the stuff is over the counter, we're good.
cool.
Mm.
That's awesome. Um,
Now,
Chris, those are my questions, man.
Oh,
I
sweet. Yeah, I mean,
like it, Eric. I like it. I
good
like it a
stuff.
lot, man. It's
Yeah.
good stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, Eric's got some good stuff, man. For everybody listening, we'll probably end it there. Like I said, check out his YouTube channel, guys. Like this dude gives away a lot of information for free, a lot like my YouTube channel. And that's one reason I wanted to bring him on is he doesn't gatekeep a lot. He did a really good job with teaching my students. He fielded questions for about an hour and a half from my students on the private call that we gave the Recelerator licensing students. So I highly recommend checking out his YouTube channel. You could probably get started in this business just off of his YouTube channel alone,
let's
um,
go.
which is something I look for whenever I'm trying to work with people, or if I'm looking to buy a course, right? Like I want to see what kind of stuff do they have on their YouTube channel first. Like if I can figure out how to do the business just off of their
mhm.
YouTube channel, they're probably pretty freaking good when it comes to the course, right? If their free information is good, their paid information is probably great, right? So,
Hmm.
and that's been consistent with all the courses I've bought, just so you guys are aware. Like if somebody, and I think it's also funny, like typically the people that have the best courses don't have the largest following either. So, um, like I think you have what, 2,500 subs, right, Eric? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, something like that. But like it's because information and not clickbait, you know? Like you're
Hmm.
actually teaching, which is
Hmm.
what I do on mine too. It's like I just give information.
Yep,
Um, it brings the cream. We get the best students from YouTube by far. So, um, but yeah, guys, if you guys want to check out his course, I'll put it in the first comment below. You guys can check that out. And kind of go from there. If you guys have any questions, he well, I don't know if I want to give his phone. I can't give your phone number out on YouTube. So, but you guys can probably message him somewhere, some way through YouTube. Figure it out. If you're interested anyway. But yeah, guys, I mean, we wanted to bring Eric on, just because I think he's a leader in this industry. And everybody's been asking me about test strips, and I know I have a Facebook ads like test strip video on my YouTube channel. And everybody keeps asking me about it, and it's not. I don't really want to teach it. I don't, like I said, I don't want to be the man who chases two rabbits, and catches none. So, uh, me and Matt are we're gonna keep honing in on what we do best, helping people get to $10,000 plus months,
that's
flipping
right.
phones and electronics. But
Yep.
if you guys want, some access to some test strip stuff, I highly recommend Eric. He's
Yeah.
done wonders for my students, and he's done a great job. And
Mhm.
my students are now buying phones and test strips at the same time. So, and they're making
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see that. It's cool to see in the Wins channel. We'll be like, oh, there's some boxes. Oh, okay. I
yeah,
know what that is.
yep,
It's pretty cool.
yeah. One guy the other day made like I think it was $1,000 between phones and test strips. So it's
Yeah,
in profit. It was pretty cool to see. So
it's legit.
he was one of the guys that grabbed Eric's course. But yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Smart Flip. We might bring Eric back on in, maybe 30 episodes or so. So we'll see. But really appreciate you guys watching the podcast. I know we're 60 something episodes deep at this point. Um, Biggest phone flipping podcast in the world. So you guys keep listening. Give us your feedback if you guys could. We love to hear feedback. It helps us keep this thing going because this thing,
Yep.
finding guests every single week and setting everything up and doing all of that, it takes some work. So if you guys could just, give us your feedback either in the comments or feel free to DM us directly. Let us know what you guys think of the podcast. And once
Yep.
again, make sure to check out the ebook on episode 11 of the podcast. By the way, I do have a new challenge going on inside of my school community. It's kind of unique. So here's how it works. And if you made it to the end of this podcast, you're probably gonna go. um, if you guys go below, I have my NHB or Nothing Held Back phone flipping school community. But here is the kicker. As soon as you join, you have 5 days to complete the free course. If you don't finish it, you get banned from the group forever. So it really weeds out the freeloaders. I don't enjoy talking to freeloaders all the time. If you hit me on Messenger, it might take me 72 hours to get back to you, but with my clients, it's minutes typically. So if you want to join that group, remember as soon as you join, the 5 day timer starts. And if you don't finish it, you straight up get banned from the group and you can't join again. So, um, yeah, check it out. It's a great course. I already got a ton of reviews on my Facebook profile for it. So, with that being said, guys, we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Smart Flip, and you guys have a fantastic day.